your online community for positive change. Seventh Wave Network.
Welcome to Cosmic Kick with your host, Adrian Wentworth. Get ready to have your illusions broken and your consciousness expanded. Now, here's Adrian to give you that Cosmic Kick.
Greetings, all of you seekers of light and truth. This is Adrian Wentworth, and I'm here today to talk with you about the spiritual journey, and this is my favorite subject. I'm a spiritual teacher first, and then a healer. In other words, I saw the need for healing through my own spiritual journey, what was interfering with that journey. Now, let me tell you a little bit about my history again. When I started on the spiritual path, I wasn't seeking God. And today, the title of my show is Healing Back to God, Understanding the True Spiritual Journey. I wasn't seeking God. I was seeking sleep. For I had just come out of a very difficult divorce, and now I was facing problems like many of you have had or are having of raising children on your own, trying to make ends meet financially, as well as I was having all of these experiences in the psychic realms that I really didn't understand. And I became an insomniac. Now, we all know how important sleep is to how we feel each day. So my life was pretty rough. Someone suggested, maybe yoga would help you relax, help you balance out. And I thought, well, what have I got to lose? And I started doing yoga, and then I started into the meditation, which was really what I was after, because I wanted to learn how do I calm my mind down, because I could not rest. I had all of these worries, all of these problems going round and around and around, and I also was developing all of these physical problems. I didn't feel good. I was having all kinds of different stress-related illnesses going on in my body. And when I'd go to the doctor, they would do all of their tests, and they would say, you're fine. And I'd say, I can't sleep. I'm not fine. They gave me sleeping pill. Oh, could not do that. That was really awful. And did you know when you have a strong mind, even drugs will not work for you? And that was me. Now, remember, this is my time of waking up, waking up. And oftentimes when you do wake up, you look at the situations in your life and you realize that, wow, this is not healthy for me. This is not helping me grow. And so once I started with the meditation and doing it in a systematic way, which I've been talking to you about, where you really start to go inward and bring energy and prana into the main energy channels. And I was doing this because being a seeker of truth, which I didn't even know I was at this time, but it was obvious, I went, all right, if this is supposed to help me, I will give it 6 months, and I will see if there's a difference. And I'm like that. Everything has to be proven before I accept it as truth. And so I would start sitting for meditation after my busy day, because I found, like most of you when you first start meditating, if I got up early in the morning and I had to go to work because I was working full-time, and I'd be thinking, I'd sit in my meditation and I would be thinking of all the things I needed to do that day. Oh, I have to make the kids lunch. I have to do this. I have to do that. So I found a much better time for me was when I came home at the end of the day and before I started dinner, and even though the kids would be clamoring at me, and I went, this is my time. I claim this time for me. And I would sit and just do the little practices, not expecting anything because, again, I was not looking for God. I was looking for peace. And one day, as I sat there doing my little practice, grace came in. And the tears came down my eyes and my cheeks, out of my eyes and down my cheeks. And I thought, what is this? and I knew intuitively, this is God. That changed everything. Now I'm like, ooh, I want that experience again. And this is what we do. When we have an experience, we get very excited, and now we chase that experience. But it touched me. It touched me at a deep level because I had let go of God. Now, growing up Catholic and going to Catholic school, and also because when I left my husband, who was abusive, now the church said, you can come and sit here, but you can no longer receive communion, which was the highlight for me in those days. Now remember, I'm in my early 20s and still programmed very strongly with what I grew up with, all of those religious beliefs that I grew up with. And I thought, I'm done with you, God. If you're punishing me when I'm the one who was being abused, I want nothing to do with you. And this happens a lot, for us, this not really understanding that these were man-made rules, not God rules. All of a sudden, I started to get really interested in this God experience. And I became a seeker for more. I want more. And of course, as I started to get more disciplined and get more control over my own mental processes, I started to see what was in the way that was just my own stuff. Because at first we have strong desires, lots of strong desires. And we have to get past those strong desires, and the desire to know truth, the desire to know God or source or universal light and truth, whatever you want to call it, it has to be our first most burning desire within us. And all it took for me was one touch of grace. Now, the spiritual journey is also very scientific. The goal of the journey is to awaken that spiritual power within you that is called Kundalini. Now, those of you who have been on the path a long time, you know that term. But if you don't know the term, Kundalini is a dynamic potential force that's in our physical body. And the seat of the Kundalini is a small gland at the base of the spinal cord. Now, this needs to be awakened. And when the awakening occurs, greater intelligence is aroused from its sleep, and you can give birth to a whole new range of creativity. You're blessed with visions and psychic experiences, which, as I said, can sometimes get in the way because we get too caught up in them. But it's all part of the awakening. You can become very inspired as an artist or musician or a brilliant writer, or you can wake up your healing abilities, as was the case for me. Now, the Kundalini is a biological substance. It really is, and it generates electrical impulses throughout the whole body. And these can be detected by modern scientific instruments. And so many people and places are studying the effects of Kundalini. And when you're able to bring prana again into the seat of Kundalini, you think of this at the base of your spine, and it wakes up and makes its way through that central channel that I was talking with you about last week, the Sushumna channel, the central nervous channel. It goes all the way to the brain, and it passes through each chakra, each energy center along the way. Now, here's the interesting thing. We have many dormant centers within our brain. And when the Kundalini starts to activate and starts to move up through your chakra system, it starts to turn the switches in those dormant parts of the brain. And this is why, again, I say over and over, you have to do systematic meditation. You have to be working with opening channels. So you are bringing prana into the channels, and you're activating and awakening the chakras so these switches in the frontal lobe of the brain start to activate. Oh, doesn't that sound exciting? Yes, it's exciting, but also what happens is when the Kundalini awakens, it will take the path of least resistance, which means if your channels are not open, you are going to suffer. And this is exactly what happened to me. Now, I was a very good student, and I sat in my classes in the front row because, hey, I'm going to be as close to the teacher as I can. And it took her probably 6 months to notice that I wasn't breathing at all. Oh, I sat very straight, but there was no breath moving at the navel center. And because I was very rigid, very controlled, and I find that as an American, we are so uptight. When you go to India, as I have done several times, and you see these people getting into divine ecstasy and writhing on the ground as their kundalini just races and roars up through their body, and the Americans go, oh my goodness, we would never let that happen. And we don't. So, again, the breath is a huge key because you have to be able to bring in energy and move it throughout all of those energy channels. Now, another name for energy channels is nadis. So I sat for meditation and and sometimes I would have nice experiences. Sometimes I would have absolutely nothing and be bored. This happens. But sooner or later, the awakening of the Kundalini will occur. And the safest way to awaken it is with mantra, with empowered sacred sound. And this is why I'm so strong about using mantras, empowered mantras, and learning to move your energy into the channels and start to purify the system. Now, when you bring in and you open up to the spiritual realms and that spiritual energy starts to come in, it is not comfortable because, again, it's going to push against everything you're holding. And you're holding a lot of stuff. I sure was. And some of it is going to frighten you, what's coming out of you. And this is what I found because I also had the great fortune to have a spontaneous awakening of my Kundalini energy. I went to India to see one of my spiritual masters, and I was at a little fruit stand, just looking at fruit, going, oh my gosh, do I have to haggle for this? Just tell me what you want for it, okay? Because this is India. I don't want to get into that, haggling business. And I don't want to be taken advantage of either. And all of a sudden, someone came up behind me, and they swatted me at the base of my spine. And you got to hear this story, and I'll continue it right after these messages.
Your online community for positive change. Seventh Wave Network.
Are you feeling stuck? Krista Resources has the transformational tools to help you overcome all the obstacles that are blocking you from making positive changes in your relationships, career, health, and spiritual growth. Adrian Wentworth, founder of Krista Resources, brings you the missing keys through the Krista Healing Method and Krista Energy Attunements. These spiritual tools will clear and realign your energy system, remove all influences that are holding you powerless, build permanent protection against outside negative forces, activate your gifts and abilities, and get you in touch with your soul's purpose. Krista Resources, providing support for your personal growth and spiritual journey, helping you stay strong, balanced, and empowered through the challenges of these changing times. For more information on the products and services developed by Adrian Wentworth, visit her website at www.KristaResources.com or call 719-487-8095. The website again is www.KristaResources.com, or you can call 719-487-8095. Everybody is thinking green these days, but green is not just an environmental state of mind, it's a healthier state of being. It's the food we eat, the air we breathe, and the structures we live and work in. It's not the dollars that we're spending, but how we spend those dollars. Are we consciously making informed decisions? Join host Connie McCullough as she explores healthier living by choice. Living Green, Healthier by Choice airs live on the 7th Wave Network every Thursday afternoon at 5 p.m. Eastern and 2 p.m. Pacific Time. Tune in for the challenge of a lifetime, a challenge for greener, healthier living.
Imagine there's no heaven.
Imagine there's no mortgage. It's easy if you try. That's not just a slogan, it's a choice you have right now. In these uncertain economic times, Sherry Shane of Shane Enterprises can empower you to eliminate or reduce your mortgage. Imagine how much money you'll save for your home, your family, for you. Shane Enterprises is a mortgage reduction and debt elimination company. Start imagining the possibilities today by calling Sherry Shane of Shane Enterprises at 719-210-3608. That's 719-210-3608. Imagine there is no mortgage. It's easy if you try.
Awakened Media for a transforming world. 7th Wave Network.
You're listening to Cosmic Kick with Adrian Wentworth. Do you need help getting unstuck? Email Adrian your questions at KristaResources@Comcast.net. That's KristaResources@Comcast.net. Now back to Cosmic Kick with Adrian Wentworth.
I'm back telling you my story of the spontaneously awakening I had, which is called Shaktipat, when an enlightened master comes up and smacks you on your bottom and your Kundalini energy awakens, and it awakens very quickly and very powerfully. Now this sounds like, wow, you were so lucky, Adrian. Well, let me tell you, because the channels were not open enough, it was not a pleasant experience. Oh, it was at first. I turned around and I thought, what am I going to do? Because Indian men, you know, they see these American women and we're wearing pants and they think we're all really, you know, wow, look at her. What is she thinking? And so I thought, what am I going to do? And I turn around and see the guru there. Now, guru means one who dispels darkness. Well, he didn't just dispel it. He awakened it within me. And then we went and had tea, and I was in an altered state of consciousness. Now, I thought, well, that was a fun experience. Again, I want that experience again. And this is how we are when we are first on the path. We're very eager to have spiritual experiences. And that did motivate me. But what happened is, as that Kundalini energy started racing through my system and pushing against all of the channels that were not opened, I became physically ill. And very, very ill. Because also, what you have in your system that is stored when it awakens very rapidly and comes out, All of the toxins come out along with it. All of the old karmas are awakened and come out along with it. And my body just went into a great healing crisis stage. Now, because of this, I had to seek healing. And the first thing I did is I ran to everyone who I knew and said, can you help me? Can you help me? Because I was literally paralyzed. Not paralyzed, but I was crippled from when I came back to India, which was in the fall, all the way through the fall, winter, spring, finally. And I know depression because when you are, your life is just so taken from you, and this is how it feels. Oh my gosh, what happened to my life? I was a yoga teacher at this time. I was a massage therapist, and all of a sudden I had no life. I was so inflamed that I couldn't move at all. And the doctors were saying, you're going to have permanent damage, Adrienne. You have something called Reiter's syndrome, which is very unique to women, so we'd like to study you. And I'm like, well, can you help me? And they're, no, we can't help you, but we'd like to study you. And I thought, well, gee, I don't need to be somebody's guinea pig if there's nothing you can do for me. I was depressed. And then they gave me the diagnosis that your vertebrae are going to fuse together, you're always going to have this, and on and on and on. And this diagnosis was given because this is what they have studied and this is what they have seen. I didn't like that one. And I went, I don't want that. God, help me. And I had to work through all of the emotional holds I had of deep resentment. Now, Reiter's syndrome is like a chronic arthritis, like a rheumatoid arthritis. And arthritic conditions always have resentment at its core. Now, there's been lots and lots and lots of studies done now about the role of emotions on our physical health. And it is true, we have issues in our tissues, and my tissues were certainly letting me know. And so I had to awaken my own healing abilities to get through this. Now, this was all set up, as you see, because we do not grow unless we allow the experiences to come to us that push us past where we're stuck. The spiritual journey is not necessarily comfortable, but what I learned going through my journey is that it can be a lot more comfortable if the holds, the interferences that we're carrying in our energy system are released so that Kundalini energy, once it is awakened, can flow more smoothly and efficiently through those central channels. Now, what happened with me is I burnt out certain channels because I found a way through. And this is what many spiritual teachers will do, is rather than awaken the central channel, because it's very, very powerful when that awakens, the Sushumna, they will take the energy up, guide it up in through pathways, so you will bring some of your energy up to the crown chakra to merge with God's energy, but you will not be able to have full knowledge of God consciousness, and you will not be able to bring in God's energy back into your vehicle. Now, many people that find me have been on the spiritual path for 20, 30 years, and they've had this experience, and their systems are burnt out just like mine was, because when you do reach even some of God's energy and it starts to pour in, you are going to fry. and I was frying out my energy system over and over, and this was very painful. And this is why also the need to have a strong energy system is so important. The channels have to be open, and you have to have the protection. But again, I found all this out the hard way. As teachers do, this is their role, is to find this out, find solutions to help others. Now, also, once you can fully connect and you can open up your channels to specific spiritual dimensions, there are powerful healing frequencies now available to us that can do astounding things. There are healing frequencies that now can heal our DNA. And I'm going to be talking more about the different things that you can do, but first you have to understand what your role is in the spiritual journey, and that is to make consistent effort. To say every day, what am I going to do today to bring me closer to my goal of knowing truth, of knowing God? Now, sometimes, as my Kundalini energy finally found some pathways through, and it would be roaring through me like a freight train. And, of course, I did this at night because being an American and very uptight, my goodness, I wasn't going to let anything unusual happen to me during the day. So I held tight, and then at night I let go. And sometimes, as that was roaring through me, it would feel as if my abdomen, I was going to just bust out because of the blockages. And sometimes I would have wonderful, beautiful experiences. I would hear angels singing. And at other times, I would also feel like there was dark holds pulling at my feet and pulling me back down as I was trying to soar. And I'm like, what the heck is that? That's when I found out that also we are not only connected to God's energy, we are also connected to dark energies. And they did not want me going back to God. Now, this was frightening because the more I started to move my energy up, the more I was also getting the attention from dark energies, which I call dark force energies, because I was awakening all of the holds that I had within me. Now, these needed to be awakened because they were interfering with my pathways. They were keeping me from finding the way home. And to home to me is the source from where we've all come. Now, as soon as this happened, this was pretty frightening. And I would run to all my spiritual teachers, and the yoga teacher didn't have anything to say about it, but, ooh, you've got a weird trip going on. One of the spiritual masters said to me, nothing impure can happen in a pure mind. Wow, that really didn't help. To me, that meant my mind was really dirty, and I didn't know what to do about it. But the other master helped me, and he gave me powerful mantras to help me, first of all, dissipate negative energies. And I'll tell you more about that when we return.
Your online community for positive change. Seventh Wave Network.
Are you feeling stuck? Krista Resources has the transformational tools to help you overcome all the obstacles that are blocking you from making positive changes in your relationships, career, health, and spiritual growth. Adrian Wentworth, founder of Krista Resources, brings you the missing keys through the Krista Healing Method and Krista Energy Attunements. These spiritual tools will clear and realign your energy system, remove all influences that are holding you powerless, build permanent protection against outside negative forces, activate your gifts and abilities, and get you in touch with your soul's purpose. Krista Resources, providing support for your personal growth and spiritual journey, helping you stay strong, balanced, and empowered through the challenges of these changing times. For more information on the products and services developed by Adrian Wentworth, visit her website at www.KristaResources.com or call 719-487-8095. The website again is www.KristaResources.com, or you can call 719-487-8095. Enlightenment and ascension brings love and joy into your life. Now you can experience the wisdom, humor, and healing of the Ascended Masters as they are channeled through clairvoyant healer Janae Serio. Each week, the Ascended Masters will focus on topics that touch and bring healing to your life, relationships, career, and serve to open your heart to be the best person you can be. Tune in to Tools for Ascension with clairvoyant Janae Serio every Tuesday at 2 p.m. Pacific Time, 5 p.m. Eastern Time on the 7th Wave Network.
Imagine there's no heaven.
Imagine there's no mortgage. It's easy if you try. That's not just a slogan, it's a choice you have right now. In these uncertain economic times, Sherry Shane of Shane Enterprises can empower you to eliminate or reduce your mortgage. Imagine how much money you'll save for your home, your family, for you. Shane Enterprises is a mortgage reduction and debt elimination company. Start imagining the possibilities today by calling Sherry Shane of Shane Enterprises at 719-210-3608. That's 719-210-3608. Imagine there is no mortgage. It's easy if you try.
Awakened Media for a transforming world. Seventh Wave Network.
You're listening to Cosmic Kick with Adrian Wentworth. Do you need help getting unstuck? Email Adrian your questions at KristaResources@Comcast.net. That's KristaResources@Comcast.net. Now back to Cosmic Kick with Adrian Wentworth.
I'm talking to you about the power of mantras to help you awaken your spiritual energy. Now, mantras are a safe method of awakening the Kundalini, but you have to use regular, steady practice. Now, this is a very powerful, smooth, and risk-free method, but it requires time and patience. Now, think about when you throw a pebble into a still lake, it produces circular ripples. Now, in the same way, when you repeat a mantra over and over again, the sound force gathers momentum and creates vibrations in the ocean of your mind. So when you repeat the mantra millions and billions of times, it permeates every part of your brain and purifies your whole physical, mental, and emotional body. And mantras are something you can do when you're out and about. You can do them when you're driving in your car, when you're standing in line at the grocery store, rather than getting upset about the person who has all the coupons in front of you. Do some mantras. Now, interesting story, because I love to tell stories. When I was in India in one of my trips, one of the masters said, you need to go have a reading from the Book of Shuka. Now, the Book of Shuka is this ancient method of telling you your history, your spiritual journey, and it's written on ancient palm leaves that have these little codes. Well, of course, this was fascinating to me, so I'm up for this experience. And yet at this time, I was very rigid in my spiritual practices. In other words, I was working with certain mantras that my spiritual teachers have given to me, and I don't budge from that because I'm a seeker of truth. Let me see what these mantras do. Well, when I went for my reading of the book of Shuka, this man who gave me the reading, and this is passed down from like father to son, over and over, this tradition of these ancient palm leaves. First of all, my ego was very pleased that I had an ancient palm leaf. There it was. And the first thing he says is, you are destined to have this reading on such and such day, which was, of course, the day I showed up, which I wasn't too impressed with because, hey, he could have made that part up. But then he went on to tell me that I started to work with a specific mantra in the past, but I didn't finish. And he gave me this mantra again, and he said, you should do this mantra now. And I said, yes, but I am a devotee of such and a disciple of such, and I am doing these mantras. And he said to me, you want to do this mantra. And that kind of intrigued me, like he was saying, don't be a fool. You want to do this mantra. So I thought, all right, I'll try it. And I started to do this mantra, and it was a Krishna mantra. Now, again, I'm still not into anything that has to do with Jesus because of the Catholic experience I had. And yet, every time I would be doing this Krishna mantra, I would have visions of Christ. And I went, okay, Krishna, Christ, same energy, but what the heck? What does he want with me? Because I certainly didn't want him at this point. Nothing. It was like, no, I'm calling on Krishna. And as I started to do this Krishna mantra, of course, it started to awaken the heart center, the divine love within. And I started to have ecstatic experiences with the Krishna energy. But also, here would come these visions of Jesus, and of course, those are the prototypes I had because of the growing up and what I knew. And it took me a long time to unblock the connection I had with Jesus in his former incarnations. And here I go to find out he's the one who taught me the healing method that I started to do this lifetime and develop. And this was like, what? You know how to do these kinds of things? It was such an unblocking of the heart. Now, why this is so important is, as your energy, the Kundalini energy, moves up through the chakras, first thing that's going to happen when you awaken the first chakra, all of the fear comes out. Oh, my goodness, there's so much in there. All of the fears for our own survival. And then the second chakra, oh, my. If you have never gotten sexually stimulated when meditating, you're not meditating. Because as the energy goes through, right away the sexual energy gets stimulated. And this is a good sign. It's moving. But along with that comes all of the negative experience that we've had. And believe me, we all have it in there, and we have really negative programming around sex. That's another whole subject. But moving on up, and then there's the power center. Oh, now we're going to get into all of the issues of being a victim, and also who has power over us. You're going to draw all of these people back into your life. You're going to also experience all of the times that you abused power and shut down. Now you have a very difficult leap to make. And that leap is between the third chakra, the power center, and the heart center. Because up to this point, these are the lower chakras are carrying all of this stuff. And now the heart has to open. And we are carrying so much pain, so many old hurts, not only with others, but with God. feeling abandoned, feeling not there when we called. And everyone has this. And yet this has to open to be able to keep moving on up so you can finally merge your energy with God consciousness and understand what happened. And so, again, as you start to move the energy up, you're going to have all different kinds of experiences. I had diarrhea for a year. I'm going to tell you right now, unless you get those channels opened and moving very quickly and clear everything out, to have digestive problems is very common with an awakened Kundalini. I looked horrible. I was, lost so much weight. I looked just, like skin and bones. This is spiritual? Well, that's what was going on in my body. The energy was purifying at such a rapid rate, I could not hold any food in my system. And then I learned, well, you better think of something. And I started to work with superfoods, something that I could digest very easily and that would give me some nutrition and keep me going. But it was like, oh my goodness, this was serious. These things happen. And then, as it finally went through the heart center, oh, now I am in love with everyone and everything. And that also is not, is something that can get you into a lot of trouble because you have to have the discernment. And I would get lost in divine love and be, who wants to live in the world when you can live in this divine bliss? Well, at the same time, Spirit had a good plan to help me stay grounded. I was again remarried, and I was having small children. And so at this time, I was usually cleaning up all day long from doing, training my kids, potty training. And this is very grounding. This kept me here and now because spiritual depression occurs when the energy starts to flow and you start to experience other realms of existence. You lose desire to be in the world. And it is something everyone goes through, where all of a sudden the things that used to attract you and that you enjoyed, nothing anymore. You just want to live somewhere else. Now, this is a problem, but yet it's just a stage you go through because once you do merge your energy with God's energy, now your consciousness expands, and now you have a deep desire to help others. One of my spiritual masters, first time I went to India with him, and I wasn't part of his ashram because I didn't enjoy ashram life, and I help a lot of people get past a lot of the abusive experiences they've had in ashrams. But I went with him to India with a group of his people, and he said to them, he was introducing me to people on the airplane, and he said, oh, this is Kasturi Mother, and that's my spiritual name. She went into the white light, and now she does God's will. And I looked around at the faces on these people, and I said, thanks a lot. Now, that's really going to help me be accepted by them. But I thought about what he said, and it's like how true that was. In the beginning of my spiritual journey, I didn't care about helping others. All I cared about was helping myself. I remember I wanted to sleep. I wanted peace. And then I wanted God. And then after the God experience, now I want to help others. Interesting how all that happened, and I wasn't even aware of it. It just occurred. Now, one of the things you have to deal with is changing your inclinations, changing your strong desires. And this happens, you'll start to meditate and you'll start to notice where your mind goes. I had an experience once, and it felt as if I was going into this beautiful cave, and as I was going into this beautiful, peaceful place, all of a sudden I heard myself say, I need to get my things. Attachment. We'll talk more about that after these messages.
Your online community for positive change. Seventh Wave Network.
Are you feeling stuck? Krista Resources has the transformational tools to help you overcome all the obstacles that are blocking you from making positive changes in your relationships, career, health, and spiritual growth. Adrian Wentworth, founder of Krista Resources, brings you the missing keys through the Krista Healing Method and Krista Energy Attunements. These spiritual tools will clear and realign your energy system, remove all influences that are holding you powerless, build permanent protection against outside negative forces, activate your gifts and abilities, and get you in touch with your soul's purpose. Krista Resources, providing support for your personal growth and spiritual journey, helping you stay strong, balanced, and empowered through the challenges of these changing times. For more information on the products and services developed by Adrian Wentworth, visit her website at www.KristaResources.com or call 719-487-8095. The website again is www.KristaResources.com, or you can call 719-487-8095. Whether you're a baby boomer, a post-baby boomer, or a young up-and-coming, we can guide your stride. Host Cindy Spear will enlighten, educate, and entice you, our listener, to realize that you are in control of your life. No longer will the economy, media, employers, neighbors, or relatives, not even the dog, come between you and your unlimited potential. Tune in to Baby Boomers of Today. Where do we go from here? Tuesdays at 1 p.m. Pacific on the Seventh Wave Network.
Imagine there's no heaven.
Imagine there's no mortgage. It's easy if you try. That's not just a slogan, it's a choice you have right now. In these uncertain economic times, Sherry Shane of Shane Enterprises can empower you to eliminate or reduce your mortgage. Imagine how much money you'll save for your home, your family, for you. Shane Enterprises is a mortgage reduction and debt elimination company. Start imagining the possibilities today by calling Sherry Shane of Shane Enterprises at 719-210-3608. That's 719-210-3608. Imagine there is no mortgage. It's easy if you try.
Awakened Media for a transforming world. Seventh Wave Network.
You're listening to Cosmic Kick with Adrian Wentworth. Do you need help getting unstuck? Email Adrian your questions at KristaResources@Comcast.net. That's KristaResources@Comcast.net. Now back to Cosmic Kick with Adrian Wentworth.
You about attachment and strong desire. So often we come into each life with certain unfulfilled desires, with certain attachments to others, and things that we still want in our life. And it's very important to examine this because often these strong desires and attachments are holding us up spiritually. The real purpose for incarnating is to grow spiritually. This is what it's all about. Earth is nothing but a big school, so you can have the experiences you need to grow. And that means you have to do some self-study. You have to keep examining yourself. And as you go inward and you start to explore your internal states, you start to see what you're doing to hold yourself back. And this is very, very important. And you have to change your inclinations, change your desires. And some of them you just have to fulfill and get it over with. That's just the way it goes. And this is why it's a beautiful time to be on Earth, because there aren't as many rules to the game. You can draw in as many people as you want, experience them, marry them, divorce them, and move along. I'm a prime example of that because there's many people I needed to finish with this lifetime, so I could go on. There was many people I needed to get my power back from, and that meant getting involved. Remember, not being afraid to allow the experiences in that push you past where you're stuck. And that this has been my mantra throughout all of these years. Now, I want to talk with you a little bit about the Sushumna channel. Again, that central channel. It's so important that you awaken the Sushumna even before the Kundalini energy. Now think about the Kundalini energy as being this big generator with all this power, but you haven't plugged in the cable yet. The generator will keep running, but distribution of that energy will not take place. You have to connect the plug into the generator so the generated energy can pass through the cable to the different areas of your house. So once the Sushumna comes to life, there's a means of communication between the higher and lower dimensions of consciousness. It's established, and then as you awaken the Kundalini, it moves up through that Sushumna, and life becomes blissful. Now, one very easy thing you can do is to practice a very simple mantra with breath. It is the Soham mantra. It's a universal mantra, and it means I am that. I am not just this body. I am not just this mind. I am the eternal witness, ever pure, ever wise, ever free. But what this mantra does, it helps you awaken the central channel. And what you should do to use this mantra is spend a few minutes every day sitting with your spine as straight as possible, because again, energy flows with a straight spine much easier than if you're all humped over and you have your chest over your breathing muscles. Now, sit and center and take a few minutes to just let go of everything that the mind is holding and focus on the point between the nostrils, at the very base of the nostrils, at the central point. And inhale from this central point at the base of your nostrils to your eyebrow center. And then from the eyebrow center back down to the base of the nostrils. First step. As you inhale, inhale to the sound of So. As you exhale, exhale to the sound of Hum. Over and over, inhaling So. Exhaling Hum. Watching the breath flow between these 2 points, base of nostrils at central point to eyebrow center. And after a few minutes, I want you then to inhale from base of nostrils to eyebrow center, and then exhale from eyebrow center down the center of your spine to the base of your spine. And then you're going to inhale back up from base of spine to eyebrow center. Exhale from eyebrow center back down to base of nostrils. Inhaling to the sound of So. Exhaling to the sound of Hum. This will help you awaken the central channel, awaken all of the seats of the chakras, which are located on the interior wall of the spinal column. The sound will help awaken and open. Now, all you need to do is do this for a few minutes every day to start to get a firm foundation for your spiritual work. Now think about it again. Inhaling from base of nostrils to eyebrow center with so. Exhaling from eyebrow center all the way down the spine to base of spine with hum. Inhaling from base of spine up to eyebrow center with so. Exhaling from eyebrow center back down to base of nostrils with hum, over and over, letting go of everything that comes into the mind. Working with breath and mantras helps you stay focused, very dynamic. And again, this is just a basic first step, but it's going to be so helpful for you. Because as you start to open again, you'll be able to start to connect with more powerful energies, specific energies that can unlock and unblock your energy system. This is Adrienne Wentworth. Thank you for tuning in. And a special thank you to my sponsor, Sherry Shane of Shane Enterprises, which is a wonderful way to pay off that mortgage quickly and get out of debt. Thank you again. Namaste.
Thanks again for listening to Cosmic Kick with your host, Adrienne Wentworth. Make sure you join us live every Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time and 10 a.m. Pacific Time here on the Seventh Wave Network.